What's up, everybody? Brady Figuel here, coming at you with a review for the new Tremonti album, The End Will Show Us How, that was released this past Friday, January 10th. And I could confidently say that Mark Tremonti is my favorite all-time musician. Obviously, he did his thing in Creed and was very successful in that, but it's Alter Bridge in particular. Alter Bridge is, again, I could confidently say, my favorite band. Like, I literally have my whole upper back tattooed with their album art. And I don't think there's a musician that I know better than Mark Tremonti. And as a dedicated and long-term fan of his, I know how passionate the Mark Tremonti fans and the Alter Bridge and Tremonti fans are. Like, this record, I've seen literally nothing but critical acclaim for so far. I literally don't think I've seen anything negative about it. Aside from the fucking elitists in the blabbermouth comments who call it butt rock without even listening to it. So maybe that's a little pressure to want to love this album and give it like a 30 out of 30. So to whatever Mark Tremonti fans are watching this video, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of stuff that we really agree on, but there's going to be probably a couple things that we disagree on too. And I think I could chalk up any criticisms I have of this record to just me knowing Mark Tremonti, knowing his music so well, that I just become a little extra critical of it, I guess. Because when you take into account his entire discography, these are some pretty steep expectations to me. But all of that aside, this was one of my most anticipated releases of this year, period. Very much because of the 4 singles that have been dropped from it so far. These songs, the first 3 singles in particular, were some of my very favorite tracks of last year. The Mother, the Earth, and I just brings this real eerie and ominous feel to it the entire time, and I especially love how they actually started the album on this song, as opposed to going with their typical really heavy song to really kick the album off. Instead, this song allows it to kind of just creep in on you, before it, of course, explodes into track 2 on here one more time, which was the 3rd single. God, I love this song, whether it's that bludgeoning, almost genty intro, or that tense, ominous pre-chorus and the way it explodes into one of the darkest choruses on the album. But for me, it's probably that bridge when you get those exotic guitar melodies and Mark's very moody vocals that get more and more layered. It makes it sound like almost demonic in a sense. That section right there has got to be one of the most unique passages we have ever heard across Tremonti's entire catalog, aside from just his solo band. And then there's the first single, Just One Time, which brings in some elements of prog a little bit, and there's even a little like stoner metal influence in that main riff and just the groove it has and the note choices. As a bit of a music nerd, I love the off-time qualities and the verses, how they just throw in that little extra beat in that first stanza. There's those eccentric bendy guitars in the background of the verses too that I love. These 3 tracks stand alone in the Tremonti discography, which immediately intrigued me about the album. One of the reasons that 2021's Marching in Time fell a bit flat for me is that it didn't really take Tremonti's sound anywhere. A lot of the songs on there, in my opinion, kind of sounded like B-sides off a Dying Machine. Don't get me wrong, there were a few songs I loved on it, especially the title track, but the album just kind of felt stale, at least to my ears. So it was really great hearing Tremonti bring in these new sounds and taking this album to a, hopefully, new direction. And I think track 4, Nails, really does a good job of that as well. It is sort of maybe stylistic, familiar territory, just being an overall hard rock-ish metal song. With this song, I love that main chord progression that also drives the chorus. The chorus itself also sounds really full, especially in the vocals. And that bridge riff is really cool too, kind of ascends on the fretboard. And much like tracks 1 and 2, I overall enjoy the dark atmosphere and feel that this song has. It sounds dramatic but also menacing. But unfortunately, this is kind of where the album starts to lose me a little bit, because following this, we have my least favorite track on here, It's Not Over, which is the first example of the moods in singular songs on here really conflicting each other. Because when I first heard the song, when it first came on, and you get that moody, eerie opening clean guitar section, I was like, ooh, I like this, it's dark. But then the vocals hit, and it's like, oh, it's a ballad. But that eerie guitar section like randomly just creeps in and out of the song. And as a result, it makes the song a bit hard to follow on like an emotional level. Because those moods between those parts are just so different from each other, but they're sandwiched together, it sounds a bit jarring to me. And I do kind of cringe a little bit in the chorus when Mark rhymes Ova and Told Ya. The title track is definitely a much better execution of the ballad on here, because you very well can follow what the mood of this song is. And it may be a ballad, but it does have that like underlying darkness to it and this overall apocalyptic feel, especially in like that main chord progression. And the melodies and the verses and in the clean chorus too just have this element of sadness to them, but in more of like a dramatic sense, where they kind of are saying like this is the end. In my opinion, they should have just left It's Not Over off the record, because coming from the ending of Nails into the apocalyptic opening of this song, I think that would have made the album sound a bit more cohesive, but also do this song a bit better, because after you get the two ballads back to back, it kind of does bring down the momentum of the album a little bit, and as a result, this track doesn't really hit as hard as it probably would have if It's Not Over wasn't on the record. The song Tomorrow We Will Fail also kind of follows in that idea of conflicting moods a little bit, because the verses of this song are almost a little happy sounding. And again, as a result, that dark, depressing chorus feels like it kind of comes out of left field a little bit too much, even with that, again, kind of tense pre-chorus. I think this song would have been better if it maintained that initial feel that the verses have. And same with I'll Take My Chances. Like, those verses have that, like, real bottom-heavy groove metal riff under them, and then the chorus is like the most whitewashed thing on the whole album. I'll take my chances. What? The song definitely does gain a few points from the bridge with those stomping drums in them. I thought that was really good. And there's these melodies that echo in the background over and does give it a distinct mood. But again, just the chorus does not sound like it belongs in this song. And the last song on this album that does this is Live in Fear, which really disappointed me because of just how much I love that opening riff. Again, it brings some subtle prog elements to the forefront, just of how it's split up in the 3-3-2 format. And the verses of this song are just haunting, again, with those melodies. I think they're synth melodies that float over the verses, and Mark Tremonti has that more ominous vocal delivery here. But again, the chorus, it's, I live in fear. It's too upbeat for what the song had established so far. So, I mean, do these conflicting moods make these songs bad? No, but regardless of these criticisms, though, the reason why this album is going to get the score it gets is just because of how amazing these other songs are. The Bottom is one of my favorite tracks on here mood-wise. It's just so uplifting. The intro and verses have this dramatic but laid-back build-up. And when you get those chunky rhythm guitars in the pre-chorus, it very much gives me Projected vibes. Something that would have been on Ignite My Insanity or their last album, Hypoxia, both records I love. And the chorus has these moody background vocals from rhythm guitarist Eric Friedman, which very much gives the song a cauterized dust feel. That initial post-chorus section has these lovely strings that float over it. I love the melodies of that. And the song does get a bit more dynamic in the bridge and does have some darker undertones, but in this case it feels very natural. And that's what disappointed me about those earlier songs. I know Mark Tremonti could pull off mood shifts very well. Like, just listen to AB3. And then the last two tracks on here, Now That I've Made It and All the Wicked Things, are two of my favorites. Now That I've Made It has this mournful energy to it that I especially love. The song is just wrought with despair, and it has lyrics that equally kind of match that, as to me, they read as kind of somebody going through something and telling the story now that they have gone through that. That's just how I took it, and you could probably interpret the lyrics of the song in many different ways. And All the Wicked Things immediately got me excited with its synthy intro. That is completely new territory for Tremonti. Like, literally the first minute 20 of this song is basically synthwave, and then the chorus kicks in, and it does again sound very, very cohesive and fit the mood. And my favorite solo on the record has got to be that first post-chorus solo with the harmonies over it. Dual guitar harmonies are something that is very rare in Mark Tremonti's catalog, so again, awesome to see him doing something new with this song. I also love that dark bridge section that, again, kind of dips his toes into djent, and the way that the synth wave comes back to finish the song and the album. Before I wrap this up, I have to shout out two, again, very new and important factors in why I enjoy this album, which, for one, is the very much improved vocal performance of Mark Tremonti. He's always sounded good, don't get me wrong, but he just sounds way more confident on this album. Rather than feeling like I'm listening to a side project with a guitarist doing lead vocals, I feel like I'm listening to Mark Tremonti as a vocalist, which has got to be in part to his work doing the Sinatra songs. You can hear it clear as day on the haunting verses of Mother the Earth and I, or again, those layered vocals in the bridge of One More Time, also the verses. The way he effortlessly fluctuates into his falsetto on the title track, and on Now That I've Made It, when he hits those really great high notes, kind of in a quick movement in that bridge. So awesome to hear him shining more as a vocalist on this album. And I also love the clean guitar tone on here. It just makes these guitars sound so haunting. Again, Mother the Earth and I, and Now That I've Made It are the best examples of that. So to wrap it up, if you're a Tremonti fan, there's a lot to like and a lot to love on this record. It may not have completely reached my expectations, but it's still a damn good album. For that reason, I'm going to score this album a 24 out of 30. Thank you very much for watching. Feel free to subscribe for more rock and metal related content. Until next time, I'll see you guys later. Peace.